The delegate has a packet, and that packet has ballots in it. Can everybody check that for me? I'm good. I'm good, Jeff. Anybody need a packet? If you need a packet, please raise your hand. All right, looks like the check-in committee did a great job with that. I'm stoked to be here this morning. I appreciate everybody in attendance. I would say this may be the largest collection in Oconee County of calm, cool, collected conservatives. So thank you guys for coming out today. If we do everything according to plan, we'll get out of here in time for dinner. That's one of my objectives. It's a KPI for me to make sure that we get that done. Before we get started, I want to recognize some of our elected officials in the room. So if you would, Senator Alexander, I saw you. Thank you. Representative Whitmire. I see from County Council we have Julian Davis, John Elliott. Is there any other county council members here that I did not see? Okay. We also have from the Walhalla City Council, Mayor Danny Edwards. I see him back there. I see Walhalla City Councilwoman Sarai Melendez. Where's she at? I know she was here earlier. Then also our state SCGOP District 3 Director, Ms. Tabitha Bone. She's here. And I don't want to not recognize our security over here in the corner. I see Mr. Brooks, Sergeant Brooks from the Oconee Law Enforcement Center. And we have our Sheriff Mike Crenshaw here today as well. And our Sergeant of Arms in the right side over here, Levi Miller, and Mr. Cameron Kier. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our parliamentarian for today, Mr. Chris Sullivan. Chris is a native of South Carolina, from Greenville, Eagle Scout, graduate of Furman University, served as the parliamentarian and presiding officer for numerous political conventions, both in North Carolina and South Carolina. He owns a company called Sky Gusta. Did I say that right? Close enough. It's a political consulting firm in Greenville. He serves as the chairman of the Conservative Defense Fund. He was the associate publisher and editor of Southern Partisan Magazine, the vice chairman of the Charleston Naval Complex. He also oversees, in that role, the economic redevelopment and formal Charleston Construction Museum for the Confederate submarine, the Hunley. He's a private pilot, member of the Civil Air Patrol, CWP holder, lifetime member of the NRA, and a member of Gideon's International. Please welcome Mr. Sullivan. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. All rise, please. I'm going to ask David Dial, if he would. Let me back up. I'd like to do the Lord's Prayer. So, it's on the back of your agenda if you don't know it. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. David Dial, sir, would you step to the microphone for our Pledge of Allegiance?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Bruce Burrell, would you step to a microphone, please, for the salute to the flag of South Carolina?
Salute, pledge. I salute the flag of South Carolina and pledge to the empowerment of state, love, loyalty, and faith.
Thank you. Mr. Rainey Bond, would you please step to a microphone for recitation of the Republican Creed?
The South Carolina Republican Creed. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. If I can seek opportunity, not security, I will take the calculated risk to dream and build, to fail and succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for dole. I of life fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master, save my God. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefit of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, I am a free American.
Thank you. Please be seated. You've received the orders of the day in your packets. Are there any objections to moving forward with the agenda as presented? Everybody find their seat, please. I think Ms. Pat Murray, Chair of the Credentials Committee, is ready to confirm the number of delegates seated today.
Good morning. All right. Today, I am happy to report that we have 233 delegates that are seated on the floor and are eligible to vote today. I'm going to do the final report in just a few minutes and make sure that this is correct, but our Credentials Committee is pretty certain, but I will come back with an amendment if I need to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Credentials Committee. So at this point, the convention's officially organized. Now, according to state rule that we're officially organized, we have to elect a permanent convention. President, secretary, and treasurer this time. So we're going to go through this whole process again as state rules require. It's a little redundant. State law, I'm corrected by the parliamentarian, state law requires this. So we're going to make sure we get it right. Could I have nominations for a permanent chair for this county convention?
Terry Meyering, Westminster 1. I nominate Jim Mann for permanent president.
So do I have a second? That's a nomination for Jim Mann. Do I have a second? Mr. Wally Sparks is a second. Any other nominations?
Bob Hoover, Kiwi Precinct. I nominate Mr. Mike Husky.
Thank you. Do I have a second for a nomination for president for Mike Husky?
Melinda Hoover, Kiwi, second.
Thank you. Any other nominations for the position of president for convention today? Hearing none, I move to I'm sorry, sir.
Question, do I have time to make a pitch for Mr. Husky?
Sure. You're recognized for how many minutes? 2, I think. You're recognized for 2 minutes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. So Mike Husky's been an operations and supply chain executive for 40 years. 30 of those 40 years were spent in automotive Tier 1 manufacturing, where adherence to specifications, policies, and rules is critical. He's currently overseeing a $500 million new plant construction project where he manages a large and far-flung staff with a myriad of contractors. Throughout his career, Mike's been responsible for thousands of employees across multiple manufacturing facilities and attributes much of his success to his ability to communicate with them, especially listening to them. Mike's been a registered Republican since 1980 and lives his conservative values every day. Mike is a God-fearing, ethical man. You can rest assured that he will conduct a fair and honest meeting today. Growing up in nearby Hendersonville, North Carolina, Mike's been a landowner in Oconee County since 1996. Mike's the proud father of 2 successful young men and the totally smitten grandfather of 2 grandbabies with more to come. Like so many of you here today, Mike wants a better future for his kids than the one Washington is currently preparing for them. And most importantly, Mike is one of the best doggy daddies I know. He and his wife Rita are very active in rescuing, fostering, and adopting homeless dogs. And that scores lots of points with me. Please vote for Mike Husky for chairman.
Thank you very much. So, for those of us who don't know Mike, could Mike please stand? This is Mr. Mike Husky. Thank you. Thank you. Before I close nominations, are there any other nominations from the floor? Yes, please step to the mic. Could you please state your name and precinct?
Per Special Rules of Order 2023 Oconee GOP Convention, Rule number 4, motions, resolutions, bylaws, and platform. All motions, regardless of rank, must be stated from a position of the microphone. The second was not from the microphone.
Point of order, well received. Thank you. From now on, please, if you have a motion to be made, make an opportunity to go to the mic. You can stand up to be recognized, and we'll give you time to go to the mic. And a second. Yes. Thank you. At this point, hearing no other nominations for the position of permanent president. Yes, sir. Chair recognizes the gentleman. Mr. John Wagner.
John Wagner, Seneca 2. If we have a nomination speech for someone else, I'd just like to give a brief support for Jim Mann. He has really put this whole thing together, and at this point to change, I think, would be very foolish. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to have a vote for a permanent chairman for the next year. That's a different story, but Jim's done an excellent job putting this thing together, and I think we ought to let him finish.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments from the floor? Hearing none, I would say we go ahead and proceed with a vote for chairman for the permanent position for this convention. All in favor of Jim Mann serving as permanent chairman for this convention, please raise your hand or say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry. Any votes? All votes for Mike Husky to proceed as chairman, president for this convention today. Aye. Majority has been made. In the opinion of the chair, Jim Mann continues as president today. Any objections? Thank you. And I appreciate Mr. Husky for his willingness to step up. I appreciate that. Next, we need to elect a permanent secretary for the meeting today. Do I have any nominations for a permanent secretary?
Lynn Maury.
Elfie, can you do that again?
I'm Elfie Juvrud, and I nominate Lynn Maury.
Do we have a second for a nomination for Lynn Morey?
Yes, Terry Myring, Westminster 1, I second.
We have a second for Ms. Morey. Any other nominations from the floor for the position of temporary or permanent secretary? Hearing none, I move we close nominations for secretary. Now we need to nominate a permanent treasurer. Vote on secretary. Thank you. We have some parliamentarians on the floor as well. Thank you. All in favor of Ms. Maury serving as a permanent secretary for today's convention, please say aye or raise your hand. Aye. All opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Ms. Maury continues as secretary for the permanent continuation of this meeting. Next, we need to nominate a treasurer, permanent treasurer for today's meeting. Do I have any nominations from the floor for a permanent treasurer for today's meeting? Yes, please make your way to the mic.
I'm Donna Fernari with Kiwi. I nominate David Dial as treasurer for this meeting.
Terry Myring, Westminster 1, I second.
Are there any other nominations for the position of permanent treasurer for the meeting today? Hearing none, I move that we, by acclamation, elect Mr. David Dial as treasurer today. All in favor? All right. David? There's a seat up here if you want to come. At this point, we are going to elect our county officers for the next 2 years. And I'm going to turn the chair over to our parliamentarian, Mr. Chris Sullivan, to oversee the election. Thank you.
All right. First, we'll hear the report of the county nominating committee. Is a reporting member available? And to be clear, we're electing now 3 countywide officers, which is the county party chairman, the county party vice chairman, and the state executive committeeman. The county party chairman, as you know, will lead the party until the next election. The vice chairman will assist in his stead. And of course, the state executive committeeman will represent the Oconee County Republican Party at meetings of the state executive committee in Columbia. Please state your name and precinct. Hold on.
Precinct. I'm one of the current members of the nominating committee. Every 2 years, prior to this convention, a nominating committee convenes in order to be able to solicit and vet candidates in order to present before this body. But during the last 2 years, we had 2 resignations where we had to form a nominating committee, and I'd like at this point in time to honor those folks as they did work, because this is a lot of hard work. And if they're here today, I'd like for them to stand and be recognized. Those individuals are David Dial, Scott Kruger, Adams, Leach, Cindy Rattano, and Johnny Roberts. Thank you for your work. Okay? I would also like to thank the current nominating committee, because they've given up a lot of time over the last 2.5 months to get the candidates to where they are here now today. Okay? They spent about 6 to 7 hours on a weekend interviewing candidates. They spent an hour each week in a conference call, Zoom conference call, and then numerous hours between those weekly conference calls in order to get things done that we needed to get done. So I'd like to recognize those individuals too. Sean Tilson, if he would stand. Luke Moore. Josh Owens. And Scott Kruger. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of the candidates who participated in the nominating process because it was grueling for them, okay? And I appreciate the fact that they put trust in the nominating committee and got to this convention, okay? So the nominating committee, when they met, had 3 goals. The first goal that they had was to create an objective process to get the candidates through. The first step in that process was to create job descriptions. So we convened the OCRP bylaws as well as the SCGOP rules and created job descriptions for each one of the chair, vice chair, and state executive committeemen. Those all went out to all the precinct presidents and precinct executive committeemen for feedback on those. We took that feedback and created job descriptions, which were then subsequently emailed to every candidate that participated in the process, okay? Once we created the job descriptions, we then went out and solicited candidates, right? So each candidate, as they applied, they were sent a job description, okay? And they were asked to provide to the committee a resume of their qualifications for the job that they were applying for, okay? And then we also sent them the SCGOP platform and asked them to put down answer the questions of the SCGOP platform, right? So we knew where they stand in accordance with the platform document. The next step in that process is once we got those in, we had scheduled previously 2 dates which were advertised, the 11th of March and the 8th of April, okay? We brought those candidates in and they went through an interview process which took about an hour per candidate to complete, okay? So that's why it was so long. And then the last step in the process was to conduct all the candidates that made it through the nomination process. We then submitted their names. We did a SLED background check on each and every individual candidate that participated in this process. So they've been through a grueling process. The candidates, we feel, are good, that the ones we're presenting to the committee today to vote on, okay? The second goal of that was to make sure that we got as many people to apply as we possibly could. So we used every avenue we possibly could to do this. So we went through and we took our ads out in the Journal, okay, two Saturday papers, I believe. We advertised at the OCRW meetings, the OCRM meetings. It was on the OCRP website. We emailed all precinct presidents and precinct executive committeemen and asked them to distribute all that information out to delegates that may be interested. It was on Facebook pages. It was on More to the Story and Let's Talk Oconee. So we tried to get out as many venues as we could to solicit as many candidates as we could get for each of the positions. And the last goal of this committee was to make sure that you as the delegates got the information weeks ahead of time so that you could make an informed decision on the candidates that are being presented today, right? So we use the resume of qualifications as well as the SCOG platform responses, and they were emailed out to all the precinct presidents, precinct executive committeemen, and all the delegates, okay? So you had an opportunity to vet the candidates and understand what their positions are in your vote today, okay? So we felt like we did a good job. So, Mr. President, following candidates are recommended for the ballot today, and those candidates are for party chair, Jim Mann, Rollo Cruz, for vice chair, Rachel Moore, and for state executive committeemen, Terry Myring and Jane Cheney.
All right, hold on. Vice Chair is Moore, spell that?
Rachel Moore.
Spell Moore.
M-O-O-R-E.
Okay. And State Executive, who's the nominee for State Executive Committee?
Terry Myring.
How do you spell that?
Good question. M-E-Y-E-R-I-N-G.
M-E-Y.
E-Y-E-R-I-N-G. 2 R's, sorry.
M-E-Y-E-R-R-I-N-G. Myring. Okay.
And then Jane Cheney.
So you nominate, how do you spell Cheney?
C-H-A-N-E-Y.
So you're nominating 2 people for State Executive Committee?
Yes, there's
Okay.
2 for chair, 1 for vice chair, and 2 for state executive committee.
Okay, who's the other, I missed the chair. Who's the other nominee for chair?
Rollo Cruz, R-O-E-L-C-R-U-Z.
C-R-U-Z. So
Yep.
we have Jim Mann, Roel Cruz for chair.
Yep.
What was Moore's first name?
Rachel.
Rachel. We have Rachel Moore for vice chair. And then for state executive committeeman, who was?
Terry Myring and Jane Cheney.
Terry Meyering, and Jane Cheney. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your report. All right. Are there any other nominations for the office of county chairman? Are there any other nominations for county chairman? Seeing no one desiring to be recognized, the chair will close nominations for county chairman. And we'll move on to nominations for county vice chairman. You've heard the nomination of Rachel Moore. Are there any other nominations for the office of county vice chairman? Yes. Please come to microphone number 4 and state your name and precinct, please.
I'm Carl Riebenacker from South Union Precinct, and I'd like to nominate Karen Powell for vice chair from South Union Precinct.
Hold on. Karen Powell, P-O-W-E-L-L?
Correct.
All right. The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes to make a speech on behalf of his candidate.
Okay. I met Karen when she became involved with our newly organized South Union Precinct 2 years ago. Karen lives in the same neighborhood as many of our precinct members. I found her to be highly motivated to see our precinct succeed in supporting the conservative Republican cause. Although she was as new to political activity as most of us, she was instrumental in recruiting many of our members from her friends and acquaintances. She was very active in motivating our members to attend called meetings and helped us to consistently achieve quorums to conduct precinct business. She was very effective in using her personal network to reach out to members and prospective members. She feels very strongly that the county bylaws need to be tightened up to better align with the SCGOP rules to resolve uncertainties and too much room for conflicting interpretations. I absolutely agree with her position on this. I believe the skills and motivation she has consistently shown would make her a very strong and successful vice chair and a member of the officer team for OCRP.
Thank you. Is there seconding for Moore? I'll go. Come to microphone number 4 and please state your name and precinct, please.
Shireen Head from South Union Precinct.
How do you spell your last name?
H-E-A-D.
Okay, thank you. The gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes for a seconding speech. Oh, I'm sorry. For what purpose?
I was just seconding his
Okay, do you want to say
nomination.
anything on that? Okay, that's seconded. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. And to be clear, the chair is remiss in not permitting nominating speech on behalf of the 2 gentlemen nominated for county chairman. So if you'll permit me, I'll go back to that and ask, do we have anyone who would like to make a nominating speech on behalf of Jim Mann or Roel Cruz? For chairman. I'm asking if there's anyone who wishes to make a nominating speech on behalf of Roel Cruz or Jim Mann for the election as chairman of the county party for the coming term. If you will state your name and precinct.
Tony Adams, Oakway.
So how do you spell your last name?
Excuse me?
Spell your last name, please.
Adams, A-D-A-M-S.
And for what purpose do you rise?
I'm going to do a nomination speech for Roel Cruz.
Nomination speech for Roel Cruz. The gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
I formally nominate Roel Cruz as a candidate to be chairman of our county party. I first met Mr. Cruz in early 2021, and since that time have gotten to know him well. His values, especially family values and patriotism for our country, are strong. Like many other people, Mr. Cruz is very concerned about the turn to the liberal left that our country has taken over recent decades at the local, state, and national levels. This is the basic reason Mr. Cruz is running as a candidate for chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party. He wants to make a positive difference at the local level. Mr. Cruz is well positioned and qualified to lead the county party out of the rut it has fallen into since this time 2 years ago. Mr. Cruz has not been part of the bickering, division, and mudslinging within the party and 3 factions it has broken into. He has been on the outside looking in and does not like what he has seen. Mr. Cruz knows people from all 3 factions that the party has fractured into, and is the leader the Oconee County Republican Party needs to mend our county from the harm that has been done.
30 seconds.
Please join me in voting for Mr. Cruz as chairman of our county party.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone who wishes to make a nominating speech on behalf of Jim Mann? Yes, sir. If you'll step to a microphone and state your name and precinct.
I'm Jim Henderson. I'm from Stamp Creek Precinct. Henderson.
To nominate Jim Mann.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
I am nominating Jim Mann. I first met Jim around the time that he organized a reconciliation meeting for the various groups of the Republican Party. The meeting, in some people's mind, went well, others not so well, but out of that came relationships that gave people an opportunity to talk. We all support the South Carolina platform, and yet when we talk individually, we have different definitions of some of the platform principles. So he has encouraged ongoing conversation. It gave me an opportunity to talk with people who are part of or have other opinions about what's going on in the Republican Party. He's also shown his dedication because he has spent a lot of time bringing the party together, attempting to bring in all perspectives and supporting a united party. We have so much problem in the nation that starts with us at the local level voting, and we need to have a united front locally so that we can focus on things that are going on in the state and county as opposed to local disagreements over definitions of the Republican platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who wishes to be recognized to make a seconding speech for either the candidates for county chairman? All right. We also have, for vice chairman, we have Rachel Moore who's nominated. Is there anyone who wishes to make a nominating speech on behalf of Rachel Moore? If you'll step to a microphone and state your name and precinct.
Linda Love, L-O-V-E.
You can turn that down a little bit. There you go. Thank you. All right, Linda Love rises to make a nominating speech on behalf of Rachel Moore.
Rachel Moore.
The gentlelady's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Rachel Moore for Vice Chairman of OCRP. In addition to currently serving in that role, Rachel is also involved with the Oconee County chapter of Convention of States, which, as some of you know, recently passed. We became the 19th state. She worked very hard on that. She is also current president of the Oconee County Republican Women's Club. Rachel checks all the boxes of our platform. She is pro-God, pro-life, pro-constitutional conservative. She's worked tirelessly to help get this party back on track and moving in the right direction. She deserves the opportunity to continue that work, and as such, I enthusiastically nominate Rachel Moore for Vice Chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party.
All right. Is there anyone who desires to be recognized to say anything on behalf of seconding the nomination of Rachel Moore? Seeing no one desiring to be recognized, we'll move on to the candidates for state executive committeemen. The nominating committee has placed the names of Terry Meyering and Jane Cheney into nomination. Is there anyone who wishes to be recognized to make a nomination other than those two? Yes, sir. If you'll come to microphone number 4 and state your name and precinct.
Yes, my name's Mickey Haney. I'm from the Salem precinct.
Spell your last name for me.
Haney.
Haney. And for what purpose do you rise?
I'm here to nominate Carl Riebenacker.
All right,
You're going to ask me to spell that, aren't you? Luckily,
Yeah.
I've written it down. So it's Reebenacker. Did I get it right? All right,
Carl Riebenacker. And all right, the gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes to speak on behalf of nominating Carl Riebenacker.
So Carl has a very unique thing when it comes to this nomination. He's got something that majority of the existing politicians do not have, and that's integrity. That's honor. That's courage, not to fold under pressure. Carl understands what it means to represent the people and not himself or his friend's special interest. Carl is something special when it comes to politicians because he's not one. He knows the problem starts here, locally. We cannot fix what happens at the state and federal levels until we have a strong foundation, and Carl is part of that foundation. Most of y'all sitting here today probably are wondering, what's the true divide in our county? Well, one of the true divides is the majority of them thinks we're a democracy. The other thinks we're a constitutional republic. But I asked you, take a moment, recite your pledge. It states republic, right? We're guided by the Constitution, and Carl is a strong believer in following the established laws of our forefathers. So make the right choice. Think about that. Think about how this party has divided, and ask yourself that question. Did you know the difference? But you have a chance today to make a difference. Vote for Carl Riebenacker.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to second the nomination of Carl Riebenacker? Yes, sir. The gentleman on microphone number 4, would you state your name and precinct, please?
My name's George Smith, and I'm from Salem, and I second that nomination.
Thank you very much. All right. Yes, sir. State your name and precinct, please. John Leach.
E-E-C-H from
L-E-C.
Oakway.
And for what purpose do you rise?
Wasn't there a nomination from the floor to Karen Powell for vice chair that wasn't awarded an opportunity for somebody to speak for her?
We did have speeches on my
Not
notes.
for Karen Powell.
Okay, thank you. Point is well taken. Karen Powell, is there anyone to make a nominating speech on behalf of Karen Powell? I don't know how I wrote that down. Please state your name and precinct.
My name is Karen Powell. I'm from South Union.
Okay, you're the candidate?
I'm the candidate. Am I
Okay,
supposed to be?
we'll give candidates an opportunity to speak in just a minute.
I'm not sure how this runs.
Thank you. Yeah, what
Okay.
we want to do is get all the nominations settled so we know who the candidates are, and then we'll provide each candidate an opportunity to make remarks on behalf of their candidacy, if that's all right. So is there anybody who wants to make remarks nominating Karen Powell for vice chairman? Yes, sir. State your name and precinct.
Randy Bond, I'm from Long Creek. When Carl nominated her, he gave a 2-minute speech.
That's what I thought. That's what my notes had. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All All right, so just so we're clear, we have for chairman, we have Jim Mann, and we had Mr. Henderson spoke on his behalf, and Roel Cruz, and we had Mr. Adams who spoke on his behalf. We've had a speech for Rachel Moore and a speech for Karen Powell, I believe. So now let's go to the State Executive Committee candidates. We've already had a speech and a second on behalf of Carl Riebenacker. So we're on to Terry Meyering and Jane Cheney. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to nominate either one of those two? All right. Thank you, sir. If you'll come to microphone number 2 and state your name and precinct.
My name is Roger Norwood, Westminster 1.
Spell your last name.
Norwood. Hard-headed, just like we.
All right, and for what purpose do you rise?
I want to speak on behalf of Terry Meyerling.
Terry Meyering. The gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
I've come to know Terry just recently due to politics, and she is very passionate about writing the course, not only for the county, but for the state. She has so much strength and work effort. As a foster parent, I found it difficult to make meals for my kids and foster kids, and yet her business is making meals for hundreds of people. So I admire her work ethic, and yet with all that she does on the outside of politics, she puts in so many hours on this. There's nobody that I've met in a long time with the passion and the drive that Terry has. I think voting for Terry would be the wisest decision we could make.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone? Gentleman at microphone number 4, state your name and precinct.
Tony Texan, Westminster 1.
Spell the last name.
T-E-C-S-O-N.
All right, and for what purpose do you rise?
To second the nomination of Terry Meyering.
Gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
I want to take a second just to tell you a little bit about Terry. First of all, Terry is a patriot. Her husband, Carl, served in the Corps, and I want to thank Carl and every man and woman that served and sacrificed for our country. So thank you very much. Also, Terry, she loves God, she loves country, and she loves family, in that order. And how is that? Every day, Terry Meyering, she prays to our Lord, God, and Savior to change America in the direction that it's going. Also, Terry is a mother and a grandmother of a 3-year-old grandson. She wants to also, like every one of us, want to change America to make it a better place for our grandchildren and children. Terry is also a doer. She listens and she learns. Her husband, Carl, and Terry moved here in 2005, approximately 18 years ago, bought 12 acres of land and built their own home while doing other jobs. How many people can say they built their own home? Terry is also an entrepreneur. She listens to people and what is going on in the county. She was the first person to produce a food truck in Oconee County. She done something right, because look at all the food trucks that we see in Oconee County now. During the tornado, she served over 2,000 meals. Last but not least, she did a fundraiser for my grandson who was a quadriplegic in a tragic accident. And in a matter of 2 hours, she raised approximately $2,000. So Terry Meyering, she is a grassroots candidate. She wants to change things for Oconee and for the state. And I ask everybody to vote for Terry Meyering.
Thank you. Is there anyone desiring to be recognized to make a nominating speech on behalf of Jane Cheney? All right. All right. If you'll come to the microphone. And you'll please state your name and precinct.
No, this is the final credentials report.
Okay, well, I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
All right. All right, so seeing no one desire to move, to speak, make a nominating speech, I have Jane. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Someone wants to nominate Jane Chaney. Come to the microphone, please.
Were you asking?
Yes, ma'am, if you'll state your name and precinct, please.
Ann Bender, and it's Bender, and Ravenel.
Thank you. And the gentlelady is recognized for 2 minutes for a nominating speech on behalf of Jane
I would like
Chaney.
to nominate Jane Chaney. Jane moved to our state approximately 1 year ago from Colorado. She was very active in the Republican Party in Colorado, and since she has come here, she has been very active in the Republican Women's group and also in all facets of the Republican Party. She's a strong conservative, she's a great Christian, and I've gotten to know her, and I think she would make a wonderful committee chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who wishes to make a seconding speech on behalf of Jane Chaney? All right, thank you. At this point, the chair observes that we've had nominations, we've had nominating and seconded speeches, that the nominations are closed, and it's now time to hear from the candidates themselves. Each candidate is entitled to 5 minutes to address the convention on behalf of his or her candidacy. The first office is that of chairman. So Mr. Cruz and Mr. Mann, we need to determine the order of speeches. Where is Mr. Cruz? All right, if you would, do you have a preference as to whether you go first or last? No. Do you have a preference as to whether you go first or last? You want to just go ahead and go now? All right, the chair will recognize, since there's no preference, the chair will recognize Mr. Mann, who's recognized for 5 minutes to speak on behalf of his candidacy.
Hello. I guess most of you know who I am by now. I currently serve this body as chairman, and I stand before you today requesting your vote for my reelection. The majority of us in this room did not even know us 2 years ago, I would say. But I consider many of you now my close friends. If you don't know me, let me provide a little background information. I've lived in Oconee County for 24 years. I was born and raised in Florida and grew up in a very competitive family with parents who were willing to take a stand for what they believed in. Because of that, I was grounded in the truth of God's Word. I want to briefly share a couple verses with you. Proverbs 21:31. Prepare the horse for battle, but victory, safety is of the Lord. Psalm 33:17 and 18. Some trust in chariots, others in horses, but I will remember the name of the Lord, my God. For me, these verses speak to the freedom that we all read about in the Republican Creed. I take the calculated risk to dream, to build, to fail, and to succeed. In Genesis, God said he placed mankind on this earth to work it and keep it. That speaks to God's authority and his expectation for me and for you. We are ultimately accountable to him to be good stewards of what he's entrusted to us, our possessions, our talents, our resources, and our relationships. To do that, we have to first conquer governing ourselves and our own actions before we can ever hope to be a good neighbor and partner with the rest of mankind. So what do you, me, and this Oconee County Republican Party play in our communities? What role in this democratic constitutional republic called America? What about local government, politics, and the workings of our county, our state, and our nation? First, let me say that we're all in this together. This is not a question of which arm of the Republican Party is going to win or lose. A divided Republican House will not stand. If Republicans are going to win and keep on winning, then we better follow the same playbook. Our platform is the key to party unity. Read it, digest it, understand it, live it. Let it strengthen your resolve on issues that are important to Republicans, for it is the strongest and most conservative Republican platform in the nation. And for that, we need to be proud and thankful that we live in the great state of South Carolina. So if we're all following the same playbook, what next? We must openly support and graciously defend our core Republican beliefs and principles. The entire platform springboards off the three institutions that God ordained as a framework for civil life: religion, family, government. So where did things go wrong? President John Adams said it best: our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It's wholly inadequate for anybody else. Which takes me to what I believe is the most important point in our nation today, our county and our state. How do we engage our families and communities and government in a way that honors God and is positive, gives an influence of positive to our culture? That should be all of our objectives. My vision for this party is one of personal, diplomatic, and civil engagement with each other, our communities, and all instances of government. We need to create ways to develop rapport with our leaders and elected officials. Let's get to know each other. Let's find a way to be respectful and engage civilly in the midst of difficult issues. As your chairman, my role is one of leading constructive conversations and working to build bridges across community lines. It will be clear where the Republican Party stands on the issues, but I'll consistently communicate our core beliefs in a mutually respectful manner. Let's be part of something that is bigger than ourselves, bigger than Oconee County, bigger than the OCRP, bigger than South Carolina. Republicans in Oconee have to set aside our differences and focus on the bigger issues. The only way Republicans win back the White House in 2024 is by working together to grow this party and voters. That's what I'm praying for. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Chair will now invite Mr. Raul Cruz to come forward, and he has 5 minutes to address the convention on his candidacy. Mr. Cruz.
Good morning. My name is Raul Cruz, and I'm running for position of chairperson of our party. Who am I? First and foremost, I'm a Christian. I'm a man who tries to live his life the way the Lord Jesus Christ wants me to. Though many times I have failed him, he's always there for me. I am a father of a beautiful special needs daughter and an awesome son, and a husband to a caring and wonderful woman. I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe in the Constitution as it is written, not as a living document to be revised constantly by the whims of the current generational edict. I am a veteran who swore to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I have not relinquished that oath. As a soldier, I defended the Constitution against the threats of communism in a cold and covert war. As a civilian, I am defending the Constitution against the threats of socialism and Marxism that has infiltrated the very fabric of our own government. I'm a concerned citizen of Oconee County, who, along with many of my fellow citizens, are tired of the dysfunction of our very own party. My goal, when elected, is to bring order and functionality back to our party through hard work, discipline, rule of law, honesty, integrity, respect for individual thought, and better communication. I will not tolerate deceit, disrespect, nor slandering of fellow members of our party. If there is a dispute or disagreement of any issue, policy, subject matter concerning the governance of the party, then let it be debated properly and voted on, and then be done with it. If it's a personal matter, then let it be discussed between the individuals concerned as adults without the social media drama. We have three main groups in this county: the Oconee County Conservatives, the Oconee County Republican men and the Oconee County Republican women. I have attended meetings with the OCC and the OCRM, the OCRW not so much, but I know I'm welcome there anytime. All three groups have the right to exist. All three groups belong to and are part of the Oconee County Republican Party. No one should be excluded from their right to assembly as per the First Amendment. No one should be disparaged. Should disparage any of these groups because of that right. We are all Oconee Republicans. With me, everyone gets a fresh start. There will be no grudges held. There will be no secret meetings, no hidden agendas, no conspiracies. We will all follow the rule of law. We are facing a big election year in 2024, and we are in no position to manage it. Our funds are low, our membership is low. We couldn't even fill the delegate slots in all the precincts during the reorganization. I want to change that. I want to focus our energy on something more positive that will benefit our party, our community, and our county. We need to mobilize our workforce into a fundraising machine. We need to sponsor car shows, bike rallies, boat rallies on the lake. We have beautiful county parks for picnics, festivals, and fairs. These will bring in funds and memberships. We need to get motivated. We also need to form a committee whose sole purpose is to establish an official OCRP newsletter that can reach every Oconee County citizen, a combined social media, newsprint, podcast, whatever. We need to get the word out on what we are doing for the party, for the community, and for the people. We need positive exposure and rid ourselves of the negative views. We need a media staff that can put together current events and resolutions from committee meetings and precinct meetings and get the news out as soon as possible. Most of all, we need to be more inclusive of our Latino, Asian, and Black communities. They too are conservative and godly people. We need to show them and all the people of Oconee County that the OCRP is back and better. We will show them why we deserve their votes and how we are united in our conviction and principles of our belief in the law and the rights based on the Constitution and the Holy Bible. We represent the people first. I appreciate your consideration and humbly request your vote for the chairperson of the OCRP. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Oconee County, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item for order, please. The next group of candidates is Rachel Moore and Karen Powell. Are they here? We need to determine the speaker's order. Did either of you have a preference on whether to speak first or last? Do you have a? Okay. Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes for a speech on behalf of her candidacy.
My name is Karen.
Would you like to come to this microphone to make the speech? It's entirely up to you. Right here at the lectern, you're welcome to. If you want to speak from the well, as we say.
My name is, can you hear this? My name is Karen Powell. I am currently treasurer for the South Union Precinct, and I'm running for vice chair of Oconee County Republican Party. My family's lived in many locations across the U.S., from Colorado to Pennsylvania. I've had many diverse careers, from being a sales rep to owning a mural business while being a foster mom. We moved to South Carolina on Lake Hartwell in 2020, and we love it here and the surrounding waterfalls and the hiking. Why am I running? When we moved here a few years ago, I was ecstatic to move from a blue state to a red state. Right away, I started to notice definite non-conservative viewpoints and voting from our elected Republicans from the state level down to our local precinct. Knowing how restrictive it is to live in a blue state, I decided I wasn't going to live that way again, and that it was time to get more involved. This is a major reason why I'm running for the position of vice chair for the Oconee Party. As vice chair, I would be interested in organizing candidate recruitment and training committees to get more people involved in Oconee County. Rewording and rephrasing many of the bylaws so that they wouldn't be misinterpreted is a huge project, but should be done. Many problems over the last few years would have been avoided if there were better clarifications in place. I'm not in favor of closed county meetings that are currently taking place today. The public should have knowledge of what is happening and be able to attend them. Being involved with others to make the OCRP what it was meant to be would be a privilege. Becoming Oconee County Vice Chair and having your vote would be an honor. Thank you.
Chair will now invite Rachel Moore to speak on behalf of her candidacy. Mrs. Moore is recognized for 5 minutes.
My name is Rachel Moore, and I'm running for vice chairman. And I'm going to get straight to the point. You know, talk is cheap. Show me the money. I know everybody's heard that. And I could stand up here and tell you a lot of things about what my vision is and the things that I would like to do if elected. But what I'd really like to focus on today is why I'm standing up here. And you know, I've asked myself a lot lately, do you want to put your hat in the ring again? Do you really want to do this? Because this, let me tell you, this is a lot of hard work. And we are all unpaid volunteers here in this room who do this. So let me tell you about the reasons why I'm standing up here today. Reason number one, I'm doing this for my niece and my nephew and their 4 beautiful children. I was blessed to grow up in a country that was the land of the free and the brave, where anyone who applied themselves and worked hard could have an amazing life, where God and the 10 Commandments meant something to the majority of the citizens, where government was by the people and for the people. And while I was busy building my career, and I confess, truly ignorant of what was going on in the world, something horrific was happening out there. And people were turning away from God and the values that he handed down to Moses which formed the foundation of the government of this country began to be replaced with selfishness and greed and dishonesty. I want my great nieces and my great nephew to have the blessed life that I have had on this third rock from the sun. And at the rate we're going to be eating bugs and loving it if something big doesn't happen soon. I was shocked and saddened to learn recently that over 400,000 Republicans did not vote in the last presidential primary. Americans for Prosperity right now is conducting face-to-face surveys with people to find out why that was, so that they can try to make a difference and affect some change. And as I thought about why, it reminded me of boiling frogs. You know, the story about how if you put a frog in a pot of water, put it on the stove and turn that heat up a little bit, and that frog will die because he doesn't realize that he's being cooked. Well, you know what? I think we've been in that pot for a long time. And since 2020 and COVID came along, some of us figured out that we're about to get cooked. Which brings me to reason number 2. In December of 1776, Thomas Paine said these words. You will recognize them. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from service to their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of men and women. I have become a winter soldier because if not me, then who? And if not now, then why? I have taken a stand for freedom and our constitutional republic, and I'm going to do everything I can to impact change in this wonderful county of Oconee, in this great state of South Carolina, and for this great country. So here I stand. My name is Rachel Moore, and I'm running for vice chairman.
Now, the last office to be elected this morning is out-of-state executive committeeman. We have 3 candidates, Terry Meyering, Jane Chaney, and Carl Rebroadcast. Do either of those 3 have a preference as to the order in which you speak? If nobody has a preference, then I'll call them in the order in which they were nominated, unless there's an objection. In that case, we will first hear from Terry Meyering. If you will come forward. The gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
The last 2 years have had their challenges, but I have remained committed to tackling issues. Some of the accomplishments that I was proud to be a part of are, 1, working with Wally Sparks on his campaign, writing ads, going door to door, stuffing envelopes, attending debates, and scheduling meet and greets. 2, authoring 3 resolutions that passed our county executive committee. And 3, successfully building a coalition which led to a proviso in the last state budget to stop the funding for South Carolina DHEC to implement smart health cards. In other words, a vaccine passport. 4, leading a petition drive and successfully getting the county council in a 5-0 vote to declare Oconee County a right-to-life county that recognizes the life of the unborn and the dignity of life and opportunity for all citizens. This measure had previously failed 3-2. 5, representing our county as a delegate at the state convention. 6, being a leader on the precinct reorganization team, which brought all of you here today. And for the first time, due to a tremendous team effort, all 31 precincts will be represented at the county executive meetings. 7, at the request of a state representative, I formed a committee and wrote a questionnaire used to vet potential board of trustees in our state's university system. I do not seek this role to add a title to my name. I already possess the greatest title of all, and that is Gaga, the name my grandson calls me. Committee man is not a position of power. It is an opportunity to take the values of our county and represent them in a meaningful and dignified manner. My mind will remain open, as well as my willingness to work with others. I will take the time to gather the facts in order to make informed decisions. My words will be measured and respectful. I will commit to consistent attendance at our county meetings and in Columbia. A report will be given after each state meeting. Advance notice will be given to the executive committee for all state meetings, so there will be ample time to send pertinent business to Columbia. It is my goal to be proactive rather than reactive with our county business. I will follow through and promote our resolutions rather than just forwarding them via email. If elected, I will pursue a position on the Resolutions Committee to truly understand and influence that process to benefit the entire state. There are two images that will always be in my mind as I make decisions. The first is the face of my grandson, knowing that I long to give him the same opportunities and freedoms that I enjoyed. And the second is the image of the bloody feet of the barefoot revolutionary soldiers marching to Valley Forge for the winter. It has been a privilege to work beside Rachel Moore and Jim Mann. Together, we have made great progress in a short amount of time. Please give us the chance to continue this growth in the positive direction. We must never forget the price paid by our forefathers and never waver from the responsibility to do our part to pay it forward. It would be an honor to receive your vote. I am Terry Meyering, and may God continue to bless South Carolina and America.
Thank you. The chair will now invite Jane Cheney to come to the well. Mrs. Cheney is recognized for 5 minutes for a speech on behalf of her candidates.
Thank you. Good morning. I have to tell you that I am so excited to be standing before a room full of Republicans. I came from Colorado, which in the 90s was a red state. And by the time my husband and I left about a year and a half ago, it's solidly blue. So I feel blessed to be here in South Carolina. My name is Jane Cheney. I'm running for your state executive committeeman. I am a strong, conservative Christian woman, and I didn't fall far from the tree. My mother, back in the 50s, my first political campaigning was for Eisenhower. My mother was the first female chairperson of the Sussex County Republican Committee in New Jersey. And so I proudly wore "I like Ike" buttons on my little corduroy overhaul. So I've been political since at a young age. So coming from Colorado, that used to be a red state, we here are charged with keeping South Carolina red and an anchor state in our country along with the other red states. It's about keeping our republic. This is not about personal agendas, petty infighting, or keeping score. This is about keeping our republic. Our county Republican Party must be unified and cooperative if we want to effect positive change here and in our state. We must seek to understand one another by listening and participating in respectful conversation. Airing our dirty laundry is not smart, productive, or attractive. How do we expect to attract more people to our party when all we're doing is demonstrating chaos and our inability to get along? Who wants to be a part of that? We will lose our red towns, our red county, and our red state unless we get smart. And don't think it can't happen here. I watched it happen in Colorado. In leadership and management positions for over 30 years, I was tasked with bringing people together under a common purpose, goal, and outcomes. To accomplish anything together, it takes listening, being respectful, conflict resolution, and negotiation, and none of that means compromising important conservative values. I am running because I have tried and true experience working with politically diverse town and county governments and a state Republican Party. Most recently, For nearly 12 years, I held secretary and vice chair positions for the Gunnison County Republican Party. And the last 4 years, I was chairman before I left to come here to Seneca. I'm running because I want to support and help create a strong Oconee County Republican Party. I'm running because I'm a bridge builder, and I believe strong bridges between county and state parties is essential to party unity. I am running because I am political. Being political means influencing government activities and actions. Unless our party here and statewide is cohesive, smart, and singing from the same hymnal in support of conservative Republican values, we won't be winning. We'll be losing ground. And my husband and I did not move here to Seneca, South Carolina, only to see this state be taken over by Democrat socialists. I would appreciate your support. I would appreciate your vote. And I bring an outside perspective. I've got a lot of experience in the Republican Party. I put together campaigns for local, county, and state parties. I put together campaigns for President Trump for his first run in office. I have organized fundraisers, done strategic planning, and I'm a strategic thinker, and I'm a tactical doer, and I am a team player, and I think that building a strong team in this county is going to help move us forward. But it's all about everyone working together for the common good and putting our major differences aside. As Ronald Reagan said, the 11th commandment is, you don't speak ill of another Republican. Thank you, and I'd love to have your vote.
All right, the chair will now invite Carl Riebenacher to the well. Mr. Riebenacher is recognized for 5 minutes for a speech on behalf of his candidates.
Okay. Hello, I'm Carl Riebenacher, the Executive Committee man for South Union Precinct, and I'm running for the state EC position. My wife Gail and I retired here to Chickasaw Point 2.5 years ago. We lived in Texas for 20 years. I'm a native New Englander. I'm a retired electronic engineer, most recently working with fiber optic-based measurement systems at Halliburton. I also owned a home services franchise for 5 years. My wife was a senior program manager at HPE. We have 3 adult children, one up here in Greenville and 2 back in Texas. Having more free time now that I'm retired and basically disgusted with the 2020 presidential election outcome, we decided to get involved in the local Republican Party. We are both conservatives. We were part of the 2021 initial organization of the South Union Precinct. I volunteered to work with the Convention of States resolution, which passed the South Carolina legislature and was signed by the governor. The founders gave the state legislature a way to amend the Constitution that bypasses our dysfunctional Congress. I've been a poll supervisor at South Union Fire Station for all elections since 2021, and I plan on continuing in that role. As County EC, my job is to represent South Union Precinct at County Executive Committee meetings. My bosses are my fellow precinct members. For precinct business, I have 1 vote, same as any other member, but at county executive meetings, I vote as my precinct majority directs me, even whether I agree with the vote result or not. I see the state EC job the same way, to represent the county executive committee at the state level. This means that, in effect, the Oconee State EC represents all the Oconee County precinct members through their respective executive committeemen. In my opinion, the power of the Republican Party rests right here with the rank and file. With that power, who elect the officers, it's our responsibility to exercise that power to by monitoring and directing the activities of the officers and hold them accountable. For example, if the state party chairman decides that the SCGOP wants to pass a particular resolution, he presents that at the state EC meeting. The state ECs go back to their respective counties. They present to their county executive committees, who take whatever issue it is back to their precincts. The way this, in my opinion, should work is the precincts vote on this issue, and then it goes back up the chain. 2 county executive committees who present the majority vote of the county to the state EC, who takes it back to the state and then tells the state chairman what they can do. My point in outlining that is, in my opinion, the party officers are not supposed to be dictators. They're supposed to act as directed by the party membership. My job as an EC is to facilitate that. I take what my constituents want and I bring it to the party officers, and in the other direction, what I'm supposed to do is any information that comes from them, I have to communicate back to my constituents in a timely fashion. I believe that much of the turmoil that we've been experiencing both in Oconee County and in the Republican Party at all levels is due to officers making decisions and dictating to the membership with no input from that membership. And I believe that's also disenfranchised a lot of party members. I believe that my job as an EC is to do what I'm told. The only time I get to exercise my own vote is within my precinct, conducting precinct business. And I have yet to see I am against closed meetings. I have yet to see a closed meeting conducted in this that needed to be closed. I think there's too much of that going on. I think that it should be free for the folks to observe, for all of us to observe what's going on. I don't like the lack of transparency. Thank you very much.
Here we go.
All right. The chair will now recognize, the convention is back in order, and the chair will recognize Chairman Josh Owens of the Tellers Committee to come and
Okay.
You read it out, you hand it to me, and then I'll declare the winner, and then we'll go on to the next one.
All right. For the chairman's spot, 241 ballots issued, 236 ballots cast, 1 spoiled or rejected ballot, ballots clearly marked to a choice, 235. Candidate 1 was Jim Mann with 154 votes. Candidate 2, Roll Cruz, 79 votes.
All right, the Tellers Committee report has been presented, and the chair finds that Jim Mann has received 154 votes, Roel Cruz has received 79 votes, and the chair declares that Jim Mann is elected Oconee County Chairman for the coming year.
Woo!
Chair recognizes the Chairman of the Tellers Committee.
All right, for the Vice Chairman, 241 ballots issued, 236 cast, 1 spoiled ballot, 235 ballots clearly marked to a choice. Candidate 1, Rachel Moore, with 178. Candidate 2, Karen Powell, with 57.
Chair finds that Rachel Moore has received 178 votes and Karen Powell has received 57 votes, and that Rachel Moore is hereby elected Vice Chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party for the coming term.
For the State Executive Committeeman, 241 ballots issued, 236 cast, 1 spoiled. 235 ballots clearly marked to a choice. Candidate 1, Terry Myring, 146. Candidate 2, Jane Chaney, 33. And candidate 3, Carl Rebroadcast, with 53.
All right. Chair finds that 235 ballots cast, 118 necessary to a choice. Terry Myring has 146 votes, Jane Chaney 33 votes, Carl Rebroadcast 53 votes, and the chair finds that Terry Myring is elected as State Executive Committee woman for the coming term.
Put that headset on right there, because I want to be the first to congratulate you, sir. This, I know, has taken its toll. It's been rough getting there, but you did it.
Thank you very much. I can't.
Need to move this mic around? That's good.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I can't thank the people of Oconee County enough, and the members of the Oconee County Republican Party to hang in there with us and trust in me. It's a humbling win, and I don't know if you saw me.
I did.
Went over and talked to Roel.
I did.
And
I'm more happy to see that, because that's that close unity that we've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That you finally were able to reach across, and it's a picture that I will go down and say that's probably one of the best pictures right there that I've seen in years. That there's something about what has happened here today is a relief in one aspect. Now that we've got a clear focus, the Republican Party here of Oconee County, the delegates, they've give you a clear focus now. Everything is off the sides. They want unity, and they want to move forward, and they want to protect this country.
That's right. And I think Roel and I working together, there's 76 votes that went his direction. Let's see if we can't get those 76 votes joined up with the 150 so that voted for me and gain some strength moving forward that isn't so much identified by who you affiliate with within the Republican Party. Just that we affiliate as Republicans and we're unified on the platform, and we recognize that, hey, I didn't get to say it, but you know something? Whoever presides over this next presidential election in the United States is also going to preside over the 250th anniversary celebration of our country. So right now, what does that look like? If that 250-year anniversary would have been, our birthday would have been, during this president's term, what would that look like? We got to get a Republican in office at the national level, and Republicans in office at the state level, and Republicans in office in the county level that are committed to follow the Republican platform.
Republican platform and making sure that they're living up to the honor of the Constitution of the United States. That's one of the most sacred documents, in my personal opinion. I'm proud for you. I'm
Thank
happy.
you. I appreciate y'all's support.
Well, it's been a long battle. We've rolled the trenches up, and now let's look forward to moving forward and doing some good things for Oconee County.
I'm looking forward to getting a nap this afternoon.
Me too.
Yeah.
Jennifer and I are
Yes.
out. We're not doing anything tomorrow.
No.
All right, I've got a meeting to finish up.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.